Hello, welcome back to the channel and part 2 of my Toolbox tour. Now, if you haven't seen the last one, there'll be a link somewhere up there. If you have seen it, thank you, and you'll know that I can chat some shit about tools. So, with that in mind, I'm going to try and keep this installment, less than 10 minutes. Now this time we're going to be focusing on these 3 drawers. Let's get into it. In drawer number 1, we have randomness. So we've got a set of 12-sided, 12-point sockets, 1/2 inch. Draper Expert, these ones. Don't know where they came from. I didn't pay for them. But they go from 8mm up to 32. Some of these are quite handy for hub nuts. We've got some sort of rounded nut style sockets. These were just cheap ones, but they do have the moments where they do work. I think either one of them broke or it's gone missing, and these are 8 up to 19, I think, millimeter. These are sort of locking wheel nut removal sockets. I think they might do rounded wheel nuts as well. These are just a cheap brand. Trident, I think, was the brand on these. And look at that, no warranty. I have got some Imperial size sockets. These are quite handy for smashing on sort of rounded nuts and bolts. I did actually use my 14mm today to do it was a pinch bolt on a Ford Fusion strut. So that's where we've used that. These are in the wrong drawer, they should be in the drawer above. Some die grinder bits, some little polishing bits, more die grinder bits. This was a tool that I had to knock up to get a crankshaft pulley off an R53 Mini Cooper S. It did work. Set of brake pad measuring gauges, a couple of random crank pins, don't know what for. That was a tool I made up to do a timing belt tensioner on a Citroen engine. This is a cheap ratchet that was cut down to do an auxiliary belt on a Jaguar X-Type 2.2 diesel. Just got a syringe there. Bit of paint, brake fluid tester that needs the batteries changing. These are just a selection of radio keys I've collected over the years, various stereos, a set of vernier calipers. They're only cheap ones, these, but I should probably invest in a decent set because I think the battery went, or the contact on the back of the cover wasn't tight enough. I had to wedge some cardboard in, but now the battery cover's missing, the screen's got a crack, and you can't really use these manually because, I mean, look at the scale on that. It's not very accurate, is it? So they probably won't go in the bin, to be honest. I don't know why I keep all the stuff. Got a little timing tool. That's a camshaft locking tool for a Rover K series engine. Brake pipe cutter, just some various sort of brake union blanks, if you will, clips, tyre valve key removal tool. This is a Audi I bought that for. I was doing a timing chain on an Audi A4, I think, about 2013 model, 2 litre FSI. Or TFSI, can't remember, but there's a weird bolt on the camshaft pulley that requires this sort of tool. That's it for that drawer. They should come with me really, because they're in the wrong drawer, as you're about to see. We've got a tread depth gauge there as well, which obviously I forgot about, so it gets used lots. Next drawer is the electrical drawer. So in here These are a set of more professional radio keys, Blue Point. I've used them a few times, yeah, they do come in handy. Just a battery for the multimeter, which is here. Snap-on. I've had this maybe 12 months perhaps, maybe not quite. I did have a cheap one from Maplin, which obviously is no longer. Yeah, obviously it's not an auto ranging one, but it's fine for me. So there's that. It actually comes with these sort of crocodile clips, which are quite handy. You just clip it onto an earth and you don't have to sort of try and probe two wires or 2 points at the same time and sort of read off what the multimeter's saying. You can just clip that on and it does its thing. I've got some sort of these that I've made up just sort of testing circuits, that like relays, mainly for cooling fans, so you can obviously bridge over the two points that I meant to, and then yeah, if the cooling fan comes on or the starter motor operates, you know that the circuit from the relay down to whichever component is good. So that's that. This is a Camshaft little diagnostic tool. It's for Jaguar and Land Rover apparently. It came free with the Jaguar that we got in our £500 to £15,000 challenge. Can't even remember whether I've used it. I keep forgetting I've got it, to be honest. Several rolls of electrician's tape. We've got soldering iron. Various sort of gauges and lengths of cable. Some wire strippers. Another set of wire strippers. I've got this snap-on. This is my most recent purchase off the snap-on van. It's the digital circuit tester, ECT 400, and I bought it because the problem I find with multimeters, points are never sharp enough. I struggle to sort of pierce the insulation on wiring when it comes to, you know, testing for power. Always have to mess around with like a Stanley blade, slicing the insulation back, and obviously you're then exposing more of the wire. At least with this, it should hopefully, yeah, do the job a bit better, and I find it quicker, you know, testing that alternators are charging. Or I used it today to check the starter motor had voltage down the trigger wire. I used it on my Transit last week. I was wiring two lights in, sort of rear marker lights onto the upper of the body. So I used it then to find the power from the side lights. So that's that. I've got a quarter drive Ratchet here in bits, Milwaukee. This was my own doing. I got the 3/8 one and this in a set, and I was stupid. Trying to crack a strut top mount bolt off with my 3/8 battery ratchet, and I snapped the crankshaft off, so I've had to nick it out of this quarter drive one, and it's just sat in here in bits now. It's a shame really. I might do something with it one day, but probably not. We've got some radio adapters, you know. I'm gonna chuck them. I'm doing it. I think they're for a Fiesta or Ford, an old Ford. This is a DL16 adapter for a 2005 Ford Ranger. I used to own one. It had an ABS fault and I couldn't scan it, so I needed to buy that adapter, and it did the job nicely. We've got a battery hydrometer for testing, obviously, the acid in batteries. It's a temperature compensating one apparently, but I haven't used it yet. Not even sure why I bought it. I just like things. And then we've got instructions for all the tools that I've got, power tools. That's about it in there. Probably wants a bit of a tidy. You might be sensing a theme really. Most of my stuff either could do with tidying or organising a bit better. Right, and then draw number 3, the final draw for today. is full of stuff like that. So this is just stuff I've bought with my personal money, you know. As I said in the last video, if I don't keep my stuff separate and if I just leave it around the workshop, it'll either go missing, get chucked out, get used, and yeah, you know, I've bought it, I want to use it. So we've got sort of anti-rust stuff. I've got my Mark V Transit out there that I'm just on with. I would say, I suppose, restoring is more like it. So we've got the rust converters, rust beater primers, truck bed liner spray. There's the paint there I used on the BMW brake calipers. A Schultz gun type thing. Paint that I used to spray the BMW's wheels. Yeah. Some barrier creams, wheel spacers, there's some speakers, bit of stone chip. So yeah, just random bits and pieces really. Probably a waste of space, but if, you know, I've watched a few of these Toolbox tour videos and almost every toolbox has got a drawer like this full of shit. Mine has probably got 2 or 3 drawers like this. When I use them up, I mean, it's not going to be a problem. Or if I ever get sort of my toolbox at home, I can have a dedicated shelf for sort of aerosols and stuff. They don't have to be in the toolbox. Right, and I'll just show you this hatch. I know we covered it the other day, but I've had a bit of a rejig. Obviously, I've moved this shelf from down there to up here, which has allowed me to put Milwaukee 1/2 inch impact gun there. Got my Milwaukee 12 volt drill, my 12 volt sort of impact driver, another smoothie. Obviously that isn't the same one from last week. I'm not a dirty bastard. We've got my 3/8 Milwaukee battery ratchet. I've just ordered something to repair that because it's in a bit of a sad state of repair. Milwaukee M12 LED torch. I like this. I think it was 21 quid for the body only. Obviously I had plenty of batteries. It's taken a beating, dropped numerous times, and yeah, it still puts up a fight. The only downfall for me is the magnet wasn't very strong, and it came out, went missing. I'm pretty sure I glued it back in, but yeah, it just didn't want to stay there. So they're going to line up there. I do have the Milwaukee, the polisher / sander as well. That's at home. Keep it in its case. It was I didn't want to get that shit up. I don't mind these. Obviously that's the drill. M12. It's not the brushless one. I think this and the impact driver came in a set actually. I think it was about 170, 180 quid for this, a 4 amp hour and a 2 amp hour battery, and then a charger, which I didn't think was too bad. This I bought, I've had it about 4 years now. I've literally today just picked up a new battery. Must be a common fault on these, because that battery was sort of loose, jiggling around. I had to sort of hold it whilst holding the gun, and yeah, it was just a nightmare. But I mean, the pins, one of the pins in there started to corrode, as you can see, or wear away with it jiggling. But yeah, that one's on there nice and tightly now. So I better register the warranty for that, just in case the same thing happens with this battery. 62 quid though, that. Bit dear, isn't it? And then I've ordered three amp hour ones as well, but they were only, I think they were 37 quid. So that is the power tools section. And there we go, part 2 done. Wasn't that painful, was it? Now part 3 will be a bit longer. It's going to be these 5 drawers. Part 4 is going to be the service part. And that's it. Off to buy a new toolbox, won't I? Show you that. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you stick around for part 3. Cheers, and we'll see you again. Bye.